London. The dream, right? The global capital where property values were once guaranteed to rise. For years, the rule was simple. If you could buy in London, you bought in London. But that rule is dead. As 2026 approaches, the city's market is cracking. Interest rate shocks, remote work shifts, and a brutal cost of living crisis are reshaping everything. Some postcodes aren't gold mines anymore, they're financial traps. So here it is, the 10 worst places to buy a home in London in 2026. But before we get started, be sure to subscribe to our channel and ring the bell to get notified about our latest videos. Kicking off our countdown at number 10, we head to the far south of the capital, Croydon. For the last 10 years, Croydon was sold to us as the new Brooklyn. It had the transport links, the Westfield shopping center promise, and a skyline of shiny new towers. But as we head into 2026, the reality is starkly different. The elephant in the room here is local government finance. Following the council's effective bankruptcy notices in previous years, residents have been hit with staggering council tax hikes, some of the steepest in the country, just to plug the black hole in the budget. And what do you get for that extra tax? Less. Fewer services, reduced maintenance, and a general decline in the public realm. Furthermore, the sheer volume of high-density new builds in East Croydon has created a glut of two-bedroom flats. If you buy here in 2026, you are entering a saturated market where resale value is stagnant because there is always a newer, shinier tower block going up next door. It's a classic case of oversupply killing capital appreciation. Moving inward to number 9, we find ourselves in Newham, specifically the areas around Stratford and Canning Town. On paper, this looks like a success story. The 2012 Olympics transformed the area. But look closer. The issue here for 2026 buyers is the service charge trap. Newham is home to some of the highest concentrations of high-rise luxury developments in London. These buildings come with gyms, concierges, and elevators, and astronomical service charges that are spiraling out of control. We are seeing annual fees that rival mortgage payments. When you try to sell a property in Newham in 2026, buyers will be scrutinizing those monthly costs. High service charges depress resale prices significantly. Combine this with a local market that is heavily reliant on buy-to-let investors who are currently exiting the market due to tax changes, and you have a recipe for price stagnation. The Olympic glow has faded, leaving behind an expensive, high-density landscape that offers poor value for the average homeowner. At number 8, we have a controversial entry, the city of Westminster. Wait, I hear you ask, isn't this the most prestigious real estate in the world? Yes, and that is exactly the problem. Westminster is not a housing market, it is an international asset class. It is volatile. It is entirely dependent on the whims of global economics, foreign exchange rates, and international wealth taxes. As we approach 2026, global geopolitical instability means that foreign capital is cautious. When the international billionaires stop buying, Westminster freezes. But for the regular wealthy buyer, the doctor, the lawyer, it's a nightmare. The entry price is absurd, the stamp duty is eye-watering, and the day-to-day living costs are the highest in the UK. Unless you have money to burn for status alone, buying here makes zero financial sense. The rental yields in Westminster are often well below 2%, meaning your asset is barely working for you. It's a vanity purchase, not a smart home investment for the future. Let's head north for number 7, Haringey, specifically the Tottenham area. For years, agents have pushed Tottenham as the next big thing. And yes, the stadium is impressive, but gentrification here has been patchy at best. In 2026, you are paying a gentrification premium for an area that still struggles significantly with crime and social deprivation. The property prices in Tottenham have risen speculatively, pricing in improvements that haven't fully materialized on the street level. You are paying near Hackney prices for an area that lacks the established amenities and safety of its neighbors. Furthermore, the market here is incredibly heated. You are competing against desperate first-time buyers pushing prices up to a ceiling. Once an area hits that affordability ceiling, growth stops dead. Buying at the top of a hype cycle is dangerous, and in 2026, Tottenham feels like a bubble waiting to deflate. At number 6, we look at Hillingdon, particularly around the Heathrow flight path. Historically, people bought here for one reason: jobs at the airport and relatively affordable semi-detached houses, but the value proposition is eroding. By 2026, the environmental mandates on housing are going to be stricter than ever. Older housing stock in Hillingdon is often energy inefficient, requiring massive capital to retrofit to new EPC standards. But the real killer is the quality of life versus cost. With the expansion of the ULEZ, ultra-low emission zone, and increasing noise pollution metrics affecting property values, Hillingdon is squeezed. It's too far out to feel like London, but it's too expensive to feel like a commuter bargain anymore. The Crossrail bump has long since been priced in. There is very little catalytic growth left here. You're buying a stagnating asset in a noisy location. We are halfway through, and number 5 is a place that was once the coolest spot on earth: Hackney. Hackney falls into the victim of its own success category. In 2026, buying in Hackney means entering a market that is fundamentally overpriced relative to wages. The cool factor has pushed prices per square foot to levels that rival West London, yet the transport infrastructure in parts of the borough remains poor. The lack of a tube station in central Hackney is still a pain point. But the main reason to avoid Hackney in 2026 is the demographic shift. The creatives who made it cool can no longer afford to live there. They are moving to Waltham Forest or Southeast London. When the creatives leave, the vibe changes, the independent businesses struggle, and the area loses the very USP that drove prices up in the first place. You are paying peak prices for a brand that is slowly losing its edge. Number 4 takes us to the Riverside. Tower Hamlets, specifically the older developments around Canary Wharf and the Isle of Dogs. The issue here is the work-from-home revolution. Canary Wharf was built on the premise that people need to live 5 minutes from their bank desk. In 2026, the 5-day office week is dead. Major financial institutions are downsizing their footprint in the wharf. As the commercial center hollows out, the demand for local rental units drops. If you buy a one-bed flat here thinking it's a guaranteed rental investment, think again. Additionally, Tower Hamlets has some of the highest density housing in Europe. The competition when you try to sell is fierce. Why would someone buy your 10-year-old apartment when there are 3 brand new towers launching down the street with better amenities? It is a market of depreciating assets, not appreciating homes. We are entering the top 3, the danger zone. Number 3 is Brent, specifically the area surrounding the Wembley regeneration. While the immediate vicinity of the stadium is shiny and new, the wider borough faces severe challenges. Brent has consistently appeared high on lists for burglary and violent crime rates in the capital. For a home buyer in 2026, safety is becoming the number 1 metric. As insurance premiums rise based on crime data, owning a home in a high-crime postcode becomes structurally more expensive. Moreover, the new build premium in Wembley is staggering. You pay a huge markup for a brand new key, but the moment you walk through the door, that value drops. Much like driving a new car off the lot. In a volatile 2026 market, you cannot afford to take an immediate 10% hit on your equity just because you bought new in a high-supply area. The runner-up for the worst place to buy? Number 2. Kensington and Chelsea. This might seem insane. It's the Royal Borough. But we are talking about buying in 2026. If you are buying a home to live in, you want community. K&C has a massive lights-out problem. So much of the property is owned by offshore companies or used as second homes that vast swaths of the borough are empty. It lacks the vibrancy of a neighborhood, but financially it's the service charges and the mansion tax risk. With political winds shifting, high-value properties are prime targets for wealth taxation. The growth potential here is almost negative. You are parking money, not growing it. And with the cost of maintaining these heritage Victorian properties sky high, you are looking at a constant cash drain for an asset that is unlikely to see the explosive growth of the past 20 years. It is a stagnant, expensive museum. And finally, the worst place to buy a home in London in 2026. Number 1. The City of London. Not to be confused with Greater London, we are talking about the square mile itself. Why is this the worst? Because it is an ecosystem in crisis. The city is trying desperately to pivot from a business district to a destination. But it isn't working for residents. Imagine living in a place that shuts down at 6 p.m. on a Friday. The city is a ghost town on weekends. There are almost no schools, very few grocery stores, and zero community feel. But the real risk for 2026 is commercial exposure. As commercial real estate values teeter, the city corporation is under immense pressure. The tax burden will inevitably shift. Furthermore, the housing stock here is peculiar. Mostly converted office blocks or awkward studio apartments designed for transient bankers, not long-term homeowners. They are difficult to mortgage and difficult to sell. In 2026, you want a home that is a sanctuary in a community that is thriving with room to grow. The City of London offers none of that. It offers high costs, isolation, and exposure to a shrinking commercial sector. It is, without a doubt, the biggest trap for home buyers in the capital. London will always be a city of opportunity, but only if you know where to look. The days of throwing a dart at a map and making money are over. In 2026, you have to be surgical. You have to avoid the debt traps, the ghost towns, and the money pits. If you enjoyed this analysis and want to know where you should be looking, the areas with high growth potential, great communities, and actual value, make sure you hit that subscribe button. We've got the top 10 best areas video coming up next, and you won't want to miss it. Thanks for watching, and buy smart.